Welcome! We're jumping right into a completely epic journey from Genesis chapter 50 today. We're talking about giant caravans, a massive road trip, and a truly beautiful lesson about forgiveness. This isn't just some dusty old history lesson. It's a vibrant, high-energy adventure filled with raw emotion, incredible grace, and a journey you absolutely do not want to miss. Let's get right into the explainer.
So, let me ask you, have you ever been on a giant road trip? Think about the absolutely biggest road trip you can possibly imagine. Got it? Okay, now make it even bigger. We're talking about a journey packed with zooming chariots, galloping horses, and literally the most important leaders of all of Egypt hitting the road together. I mean, how wild is that?
But before this massive trip even kicks off, our story actually starts with a really sad moment. Joseph, who, remember, is now a hugely powerful ruler in Egypt, weeps and says a tearful goodbye to his father Israel. We also know him as Jacob. It's just a deeply emotional time as Joseph honors the man who loved him so much.
Now, think about just how much time passed as they showed their love and respect. It actually took 40 whole days just for the embalming process. That was the traditional Egyptian way of preparing a body. And if that wasn't enough, after that, the Egyptians mourned for him for 70 whole days. 70! That really shows you just how much love and respect the people had for Joseph and his family.
So after that super long period of mourning, Joseph has a massive request. He goes up to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and asks him for permission to keep a huge promise. You see, before his dad died, Joseph swore he would travel all the way back to the land of Canaan to bury him. And for an epic journey like that, he definitely needs the king's official sign-off.
Well, Pharaoh immediately says, yes, go and do exactly as you promised. And boom, they start packing up the chariots. They are hitting the road with everything they've got. The energy is absolutely high as they begin this long, vibrant trek out of Egypt, heading straight towards a place called Atad.
And you've got to imagine the massive scale of this trip. This wasn't just Joseph and his brothers squeezing into a minivan. No way! It was all of Pharaoh's servants, the highest leaders of Egypt, Joseph's entire family, and a huge, powerful escort of chariots and horsemen. Picture a caravan so unbelievably big it would take days to pass you by, leaving only the little kids and their flocks safely back home in Goshen.
When this incredible, massive procession finally arrived at the threshing floor in Atad, right near the Jordan River, they stopped, and they cried so loudly and so bitterly for 7 whole days. The local Canaanite people watching this dramatic event unfold were so utterly amazed by their sorrow that they actually renamed the place Avel Mitzrayim, which literally means the mourning of Egypt.
Finally, they reached their ultimate destination. Joseph and his brothers carefully carried their father into the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of Machpelah. And this wasn't just any random cave, it was packed with history. It was the exact same cave their great-grandfather Abraham had bought years and years ago. They did exactly what their father ordered them to do.
All right, so mission accomplished, right? They all pack up, turn around, and head back to Egypt. But wait, what happens when they actually get back? The mood totally shifts. Once they returned, the brothers suddenly realized their main protector, their dad, was gone forever. And a very scary, super anxious thought popped right into their heads.
The brothers started whispering to each other in secret, practically panicking. Because remember, a long time ago, they did some really awful things to Joseph. Like, they actually sold him. They were terrified, thinking, what if Joseph still hates us? What if he was just playing nice for Dad's sake, and now he's going to pay us back in full for all the suffering we caused him? They were so incredibly scared that they didn't even dare to go to him directly at first. Instead, they sent a message begging for mercy. They claimed their father had left an order asking Joseph to forgive their wicked crimes. And then the brothers finally came themselves, literally fell down in front of him with real tears and pleading faces and said, "Here, we are your slaves."
Now this is where we see a massive mix-up. The brothers completely expected a scary revenge and some kind of harsh punishment. But Joseph's response? It was this beautiful, warm gift of total, loving forgiveness. It was the complete, absolute opposite of what they had feared.
Instead of getting mad, Joseph actually started to cry. He wept because he loved them so much, and it absolutely broke his heart that they were still so terrified of him after all these years. He looked right at them and said, "Don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God?" He totally understood that it wasn't his job to punish them.
So, here is some absolutely powerful food for thought.
The moral of Genesis 50 is that God's sovereignty can turn human evil into good, emphasizing forgiveness, reconciliation, and trust in divine providence over vengeance. Let that sink in for a second. Joseph actively chose to trust God's big plan rather than holding on to any of that bitter anger.
Joseph explained it to them so perfectly. He said, "You meant to do me harm, but God meant it for good." He understood that even though his brothers made a really terrible choice a long time ago, God used that exact crazy journey to bring Joseph to Egypt. And why? So he could save thousands of people, including his very own family, from starving to death.
He comforted them completely. He didn't just casually forgive them. He promised to actively protect them. He said, "I will provide for you and your little ones." He spoke to them with such incredible kindness, making entirely sure they felt safe, loved, and warm. He washed away all their fears right then and there.
And guess what? Joseph went on to live a very, very long and super happy life in Egypt. He actually reached the grand old age of 110 years old. I mean, he lived long enough to see his grandchildren, and he even got to hold his great-grandchildren on his knees. It was a life fully and completely blessed after all those tough early hardships.
But, as it always does, eventually Joseph's time came to an end. As he was dying, he gave his brothers and his family one final, beautiful, and wildly hopeful promise. He told them that God would surely remember them. He promised that God would one day lead them out of Egypt straight back to the amazing, colorful land that was promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because he believed in this promise so deeply, he actually made the sons of Israel swear an oath. He said, "When God comes to save you, you must carry my bones up from here." He wanted to make absolutely certain he returned to the promised land too. After that, he died, was lovingly embalmed, and was placed in a coffin right there in Egypt, just waiting for that glorious day.
Now, as we finish this incredible story from Genesis, here is an interesting fact. Hazak v'nichazek is a Hebrew phrase traditionally shouted in synagogues upon finishing one of the 5 books of Moses, meaning, be strong, and let us be strengthened. It celebrates the completion of a communal spiritual journey and reinforces mutual support and strength to begin the next book. So, think about what it means to be truly strong, just like Joseph. It means choosing love over anger, trusting the much bigger picture, and finally, letting go of those heavy grudges. How can you be strong and forgive others today? Keep that amazing thought with you. And with that, click the bell button, like, share, and subscribe.